Good afternoon and welcome to the Grad Connection Plena Healthcare webinar. This afternoon we'll be meeting the team from Plena to talk about their new graduate program, which is now live for applications across Australia, inviting physiotherapists and occupational therapists to apply now for positions to start in 2021. I will hand over to my colleague Dom in a moment or two to introduce our Plena panel, but in the meantime, a little bit of housekeeping for this afternoon. If you're not familiar with Zoom technology, don't worry, it's my job to help you through the process. So you will see you have a chat box and a Q&A box. If at any time you need any help technically, you can use the chat box, pop your message in there and I'll do my very best to help you. The session is being recorded, so if for any reason you drop out, we'll be able to provide you with a recording afterwards. And of course, the Plena team are on hand to answer any questions during the session or after the session. So please do pop your questions in the Q&A box as we go through this afternoon. Don't worry, to our guests, there is no compulsion for you to show your faces or do any talking. That's all down to the beautiful panel this afternoon. You just need to use the text and chat facilities and we can go from there. Now we're due to run for about an hour and I will hand over to Dom to introduce our panel. Hey, Dom.
Great. Hi, James. Thanks for the introduction and thank you everyone for joining us today. My name's Dom. I'm one of the National Account Managers here at Grad Connection. I'm really excited to have our panel with us today. So I'll do some introductions. So first off, we have John O'Brien, who is the National Customer and Employee Experience Manager. Graham Johnson, who is the National Physiotherapy and Occupational Therapy Manager. Jessie Crockford, our occupational therapist who's going through the graduate program at the moment. Henry Cheng, who is also a graduate physiotherapist. And finally, Jordan Monier, who is the graduate recruitment business partner, so he'll be able to answer any questions that you might have about the process. So what I might do is just hand over to Jordan to start off with the presentation, and what we'll do at the end, I'll ask a few questions as well.
Sure. Thanks very much, James and Dom. And thanks for everyone for joining us today. It's great to have you on board and look forward to going through some really valuable information today. I guess maybe just to start with, I guess in terms of just my role, I'm kind of central, I guess, in terms of our graduate recruitment generally across Australia. So I have essentially a national role across every area for our business in terms of current graduate recruitment. So as James was introducing us, my contact details will be available at the end of the session on one of our slides. So please feel free to reach out to us at any point in time, whether that's on the phone or by email. We're happy to have a discussion with you following today's session. So James, were you sharing some slides at your end? Wonderful. Fantastic. So I'm not too sure, John or Graham, would you like to quickly cover off a little bit of an overview in terms of a little bit about Plena Healthcare?
Yep, I'm happy to do that. Thanks, Jordan. So at Plena Healthcare, we're a new company to the market, or a new name to the market, but made up of some very well-established existing companies of physio, occupational therapy, and also we have sort of podiatrists, speech pathologists, dietitians, and nursing consultancy as part of the wider Plena Healthcare team. But we're obviously here specifically today to talk about the physio and OT side of things. So we have over 1,000 employees, or 1,000 team members nationally across all of the states, and within the physio and OT team, we have about 800 sort of physios and OTs, and that's made up of a mix of new grads and experienced therapists. And at the moment, the team is approximately about 50-50 in regards to sort of physios and OTs. So we're a well-rounded team. with a range of experiences, and as I say, a long history in the aged care and community business, with lots of knowledge about aged care, residential care, and the sort of the community services that we provide. We probably service about 1,000 aged care facilities nationally, and we provide sort of services to about 10,000 clients in any given week through the various teams. So that's a bit of an overview there.
Great, ready to go to the video, guys?
Yeah, wonderful.
Yep.
Seeing that one up.
Every day, our group of brands have been working towards the same goal, providing quality care to our clients and their families. We are united by this purpose. We are connected by this purpose. And we now pursue this purpose as one brand, Plena Healthcare.
Today is a really exciting day for us at Zenitas Mobile Health. It's when all our brands come together as one in an integrated offer called Plena Healthcare. The collection of brands that make up Plena Healthcare come from brands which have a really long history in allied health services and mobile health services throughout all of Australia. These brands were the largest of their modalities and all come with clinical expertise and dedication. Plena Healthcare is holistic, and it's very representative of an integrated offering of bringing all modalities together on one platform to meet more of our customer needs. And so we help people live happier, healthier, and more independent lives. Every day, we have thousands of allied health professionals working throughout Australia. We're investing in our staff and making sure we're using our size and scale to give the best experience, the best leadership structures, and also the best learning and development capabilities for our people. Plena Healthcare, in its integrated approach across all modalities, is focused on customer outcomes for residential, disability, and community clients.
Our new brand reflects who we are as a business. It reflects the holistic nature of our people and our capabilities. It represents our integrated offering across physiotherapy, occupational therapy, podiatry, speech pathology, dietetics, and nursing consultancy, all of which are offered within residential aged care facilities, disability and community settings. We look forward to continuing to grow our relationships with our team, with our clients, and with the people who are at the centre of everything we do.
Okay. So,
All good. I can take it from there if you like, James. So, no worries. Yes, there might have been a few technical issues with the video then, but I suppose just to provide a quick summary, you probably heard the words holistic and connected, one and all those kind of things. So basically with Plena Healthcare, what it is, as Graham mentioned, it's a bunch of different brands and they're all industry leading brands working in age and community care that have come together. And just recently we've kind of come together under the brand Plena Healthcare. I suppose the big difference with what we're trying to offer is that there's a lot of companies out there that do work in a particular discipline, and they might do work in different industries, work in a particular discipline. But with Plena Healthcare, we're really looking for a collaborative model, and I think we do that really well, where we have our teams working together and trying to achieve the best outcomes for the clients and the residents on site. Are we able to just jump back to the graduate slide there, James?
Yeah.
There we go.
That's all right. Yeah, so basically, as Dom mentioned, so my role is in customer and employee experience. So with that, essentially, it's a very long way of basically saying that my role is to make sure that our staff, as well as our clients, are as happy as possible within their roles and within the services that we provide. We've recently redone our graduate program. So our graduate program is a 12-month structured program, and then it kind of goes into the next phase after 12 months. One of the key things with the graduate program is that it's providing mentorship for the graduates, but also it works through a series of topics, and you can see the topics there on the right of the screen. So things like really high level clinical skills, like working with, as you can see, clinical outcomes in dementia, clinical expertise. So it really covers all of your kind of musculoskeletal, your neuro, your cardiopulmonary type work, but also, within community therapists, there's a lot of specific stuff, especially for OTs around working in the community, falls prevention, home modifications, all of those kind of things are included too. So it's taken us quite a while to put together, and it's a very sophisticated program that we've put together, and we couldn't be happier with it. One of the other key parts of it is the Plena Buddy program. So as a new grad, we know that the most important thing is that you feel supported. So what we've set up is a buddy program whereby you've got a team leader assigned to you, and that team leader is essentially someone that you go to for all of your kind of admin, clinical questions and that. You've got your manager too, who's a bit of I like to call the Yoda of all things aged and community care. So that person is the go-to for anything high level. That's your hiring manager. But then we also assign you a Plena buddy. So that buddy is somebody who's really dedicated to your well-being. So it's often a new grad that perhaps finished last year. So it could even be, your Jessies or your Henrys next year looking after you guys. And that person provides well-being support. And we have topics and things that we chat through each month with your buddy there too. As well as that, we've got a learning management system, so an online system called Litmus, which we've launched this year, which is an access to literally hundreds of courses that you can access to do upskilling. So it can be clinical skills, but also soft skills around, it might be communication that you want to work on, or ability to communicate through email, whatever it is. There's a lot of different courses on there that we've launched and put a lot of investment into making sure that we've got the support there for staff. We have like sign-on bonuses. We also do like quite rewarding salary packages as well as yearly reviews. And our staff are often, as somebody that looks over our employee experience across the whole suite of the business, I suppose. It's something that I do see that our staff are generally really quite happy with the salary benefits that they get there.
I might just jump in, John, with a couple of questions as we've got the slide open. One of the things you mentioned, obviously, was the buddy scheme and the mentoring. So is it quite a structured kind of catch-up that they would have with a Plena buddy, or is it kind of just as and when students want to reach out, or grads want to reach out to their buddy?
Yeah, it is. No, I feel like we've improved it each year. So it's moved from, it was the extra buddy and now it's the Plena buddy. So it's a very structured program. So every single person, whether they're a new grad or not, within Plena Healthcare has a one-to-one monthly catch up with their team leader. So that still goes on. But for our new grads, what's specifically supporting the new grads is the Plena buddy program.
Yeah.
So that's an arranged monthly catch up with their buddy, and we're putting together the topics for discussion and things at the moment. So it is, really, really structured. And obviously it's been a challenging year for that face-to-face. So we've managed to pivot that to online, and that's been really successful, because now no matter what 2021 throws at us, which hopefully won't be what 2020 did, we're quite confident we'll be able to support it.
Great. That's great to know that support's available to grads. Cool.
Moving through.
Well, do you just want to go back one, James?
Oh, sorry. There we go.
All right.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Henry. So I'll talk a bit about our work in residential aged care and what the work is like. And so you'll find that assessments and pain management is a big part of our role in residential aged care. I'll go through the assessments first. So with every resident, we do a functional assessment and you find out how their mobility and ADLs are impacted, and you provide that information to the site so they know how to provide assistance for the residents. So for example, if you see a resident with very arthritic fingers and has trouble using cutleries, you let the site know that they may need a nurse to help cut up their food when they're eating. And so you're also finding out how the resident can safely transfer and mobilize. We also do pain assessments. And so you're finding out what kind of pain they have and what treatments would help with the pain. So essentially with our assessments, you're finding out what the residents' needs are and what they can benefit from. And you're discussing this with your site to come up with a plan to care for those residents. And we review those assessments every 3 or 6 months, depending on where you're working, just to keep everything up to date, since the residents, you'll find them, they can fluctuate. You also do falls review. So if a resident has a fall, you would check if they've significantly injured themselves and if they need a bit more assistance with their mobility. You're also recommending whether the resident needs x-rays or ultrasound, and you're also helping with recommending strategies that can help prevent future falls. Pain management is also part of our role. So we help the residents manage the pain through either massage, heat packs, paraffin wax, TENS machine, one-on-one exercise or group exercise. So you'll try to find what's available in each site. And the work overall is very engaging since it's a multidisciplinary team. So you're often finding out more information about your residents from the care staff, the nurses, the doctors, and their family members. You're also discussing care plans and advocating for your client needs with the staff and the site managers. So you're always working as a team. Another thing you might be doing is manual handling training. So every year, the staff at each site, they require manual handling training each year. So you're providing that training for them so they can avoid workplace injuries and teaching them how to transfer and mobilize with residents safely. So you would get them to practice things like how to use a slide sheet, how to get the residents to stand up, how to operate the lifters, and how to help someone if they've had a fall. And that's generally what you'll be doing in residential aged care. I'll hand it over to Jessie.
Hi, I'm Jess. I'm an occupational therapist and I also work in residential aged care in a facility, and it's like a nice small 30-bed facility. As Henry was sort of saying, like a typical day, I might be doing treatments and then I get referrals for different things. So for example, today I had someone return from hospital, so I was making sure that all the pressure care and things like that were in place, and then communicating what their current care needs are for staff. And also what I really enjoy is doing exercise classes. And I've also done like hand-eye coordination classes. So yeah, one of them even was like planting seeds with residents to grow flowers. So I feel like there's a lot of flexibility to try and work your occupational therapy skills in as well within the setting. So it's been a really good experience.
Oh, sorry, you carry on, Jessie. I'll ask you a question after, actually. You carry on for now.
Yeah. No, I was just sort of saying, like in the community, we've also got a community part of the company. So in that role, you might be driving to people's houses or other aged care facilities and going in and doing like rehab one-on-one exercises. It's for like a range of different conditions. So you'll get a range of clients and you might need to assess their equipment needs and organise like equipment within their care plan that they have, and whether it's organised through NDIS. So you're kind of working with a lot of different community sectors as well. So it's a good experience, really. Yeah.
And I might just ask you, Jessie, and then I'll ask you afterwards, Henry, because obviously you're both going through the graduate program at the moment. Did did you have any experience prior to joining Plena? And if so, what did that kind of look like? And did it help you with your graduate recruitment process?
Yeah, well, I suppose I was working in retail, and I was seeing that everything was kind of going online, and I knew that healthcare was something that's helping people and it's never going to go anywhere. So I was really drawn to healthcare. So I was a bit strategic. During my 4 years of my course, I became a personal care assistant at an aged care facility and worked as a PCA part-time while I was studying, just so I could get that entry-level experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. And what about you, Henry? What kind of experience did you have before, if any?
I actually didn't have any experience in aged care prior to working here. So I had placements as a student, and it was mostly in hospitals and private practice. I did do acute Jerry's ward for one of my placement.
Yep.
And that's when I found out I wanted to work with elderly. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Perfect.
Yeah.
I might just add in from my perspective as well. So with the residential aged care in the facilities and in the community, our graduates would generally have the opportunity to work in both of those settings.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be either residential aged care or community. There's probably the opportunity to sort of work in both, and it might be whichever the graduate prefers. They might spend a little bit more time in one, but in general, we like to sort of try and provide an opportunity to experience both of those areas, whether that's through the graduate program itself, or whether that's through doing some rostered shifts in those two areas. So the community is, as I say, as Jesse sort of said, out and about in people's homes, driving around on the roads and delivering services through NDIS or referrals from GPs or referrals from family members, that sort of thing. So they've both got their slightly different sort of skill sets, but both can be very rewarding areas and provide slightly different opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. And if a grad, I suppose, wanted to do both, would it be a case of, obviously it's a 12-month program, would it be 6 months doing residential and then 6 months community, or is it more of a conversation with your manager and you kind of work together on when that would happen?
Yeah, it's more of a combination. A collaboration with the manager. So communicating with the manager, and then sort of figuring out what best fits that particular individual. They would definitely experience both areas through the program, but in regards to exactly how much time we're spending each or how much opportunity was giving in each area, then it would be down to individual sort of communication that they would have with the manager.
That's great. And that's good to hear that there's obviously that collaboration as well, that it's not kind of forced upon grads. You can have that communication and conversation with your manager and work something out. So that's great to hear. Thanks for that, Graham.
Okay, moving through.
Nice one. John, did you want to cover off on the summary of employee benefits?
Yeah, happy to do this one. I think I stole this one off Graham because it's always a nice one to talk to. I suppose, just Jessie reminded me, actually, she was saying that it's, well, I think we should wish Jess and the rest of the potential future OTs in the meeting a happy OT week, as we know that it's an OT week this week. I'm a physio by background, but it's been like I've gained so much working with OTs. I think OTs tend to look at things a little bit differently, and they're really kind of goal orientated. And it's been really enjoyable working with OTs within the business. And the OTs are actually our largest cohort within Plena Healthcare. So we must have 300 or 400 OTs working with us, just as a FYI. Anyway, I digress. Onto employee benefits. So one of the great things about bringing together 8 different brands that have formed Plena Healthcare is that a lot of those existing brands had a lot of really great employee benefits that we've kind of pulled together as part of Plena Healthcare now. So the Plena Health Kick is something we launched this year, and that's an ability for staff to access $75 a couple of times a year, which can go towards anything that's going to help them be healthier in mind or body. So it could be a pair of running shoes. It could be like a meditation class. It could be anything like that, yoga classes, all that kind of stuff, which has been really popular since we launched. And the other big one that we launched was the Plena Treasure Chest. So the Plena Treasure Chest it's something that was really important to us, and that's making sure that we're also providing something that we can make a difference to the clients and the customers that we work with and the residents. So what this is a fund where staff can actually pull some money out of the treasure chest to buy something for one of the residents they're working with, or one of the clients or patients that they're working with. So for example, we had a staff member just last week actually who was working on site, and there was a couple of residents. They actually weren't a couple when they entered the aged care facility, but then they became a couple in the aged care facility, and their favorite thing was before then was they kind of bonded over a mutual enjoyment of prawns, Barnacle Bill's prawns, which I don't have up here in New South Wales, but apparently it's a thing. And so the staff member actually went out and bought them a bucket or whatever it is of Barnacle Bill's prawns and shared a photo with the team, and that was fantastic. So she could claim that money back and get reimbursed for it. So Plena Healthcare pays for that. So as part of the treasure chest, they get access to up to $50 throughout the year to spend on things like that. Could be a pair of socks for a resident, could be a plant for their room to brighten it up, anything like that, which is once again been really popular. For our roles that are a bit more regional, we also can offer relocation support. So that's a discussion that people can have with their hiring manager. We have a referral program too, so which Jordan's right across also. So at the moment we have a $1,000 referral program, and the reason we have that, so that's where if you refer someone to come and work with us, you get $1,000. And the reason that we have that is because we know that historically that staff that are working with us, the best staff that we get come on board are internal referrals, and it tends to be that good physios and good OTs know other good physios and good OTs, and they fit in with the culture and all that. So that's been a very popular one that we've got going. The Care Hero is a values-based recognition where you can nominate someone within your team to get a Care Hero award, and we got lots of nominations in the last quarter for this. Employee Assistance Program, or EAP as you may know it, that's a service that's open to all of our staff, and it's been used a lot in 2020, to be honest, and that's just with the challenge we've had. So that's free counselling sessions that people can access as they need to. The other ones on there was social events. So we've got on the back of our monthly, so we run monthly training sessions with staff. And on the back of those, we often do social events. So it could be a dinner or drinks or something like that also. And then support for CPD. So we have a PD allowance for staff. We do monthly training sessions in-house, but we also provide some funds for people to access courses externally. The really interesting thing with new grads is that we see they don't actually access the external courses, even though they're more than welcome to, as much as we would expect. And that's because we actually give new grads so much in-house training in their first year that a lot of them feel like they've actually got enough out of the internal training that they don't go external. But their money is there, and very happy for the guys to use that if they choose to in that first year.
Great. We've had a question come through actually. It's directed to Jess and Henry, so I thought I'd ask it now. So she says, how would you describe the transition process from student to therapist in regards to support if there was an issue or challenge in your facility, or you required some assistance with clinical reason or guidance? How were you supported through this? So I might ask that to you first of all, Henry.
So the graduate program actually makes the transition pretty smooth. During your first week, you don't actually start working just yet. There's an induction program. So it's just an orientation where they make sure you know how everything operates, so you're not thrown into the deep end on day one. And when I did start working, there was always somebody there that could help me or answer some of my questions. Even when the COVID came, where having someone physically there to support you is impossible. I could always call my team leader for help. There's also weekly catch-up group sessions with the team online. And then you also have the one-on-one monthly chat with the team leaders. So altogether, very supported. Yeah.
Great. And Jessie?
Yeah, similar experience. So you kind of eased into it at the start, and you always have someone there physically sort of with you at the start to ask questions and provide support. And then I suppose you kind of start with easier tasks, and then you build yourself up to, say, doing assessments and care plans and things like that. So the tasks were graded. And yeah, I feel like I've had so much support, and that was the biggest concern for me coming as a new graduate. Yeah, so I can call anyone at any time, and I'm currently sort of having a go at site lead at a facility, so I'm by myself, but
Yep.
I feel like I can handle it because I have anyone and everyone at my beck and call. So it's
Great.
good.
And what's the training and development kind of look like in the first, well, it's been about 10 months now, 11 months now since you guys have started?
The induction process?
Yeah, and just the kind of ongoing training as well. What has that looked like?
For the induction process, you basically learn about what the company is about, what the values are, and what we strive for, and then you learn about what the job is like. So you learn about what the ACFI is, and you learn about how to assess your clients and document things. You go through and practice some of the treatment techniques like TENS machine, the wax bath, and massage techniques. And then you do a day of shadowing and see what the day-to-day job is, what it looks like. In terms of continuous professional development, that's usually scheduled once a month, and we have different people that presents it, and there's so many people from different backgrounds. So you learn a lot of things that are outside your profession. So for example, I'm a physio, so we don't really learn too much about pressure care cushions at uni, and we don't really learn which ones to prescribe to prevent pressure injuries. And we have a lot of OTs available that can provide that information.
Yeah.
And all the information given is always uploaded online. So even the induction information. So if you ever forget something, you can always look it up.
That's great.
And with the Litmus that was previously mentioned, it's a new online system that we have. It keeps track of all the sessions that you've done, and it keeps track of all your certificates. So when you're organizing your certificates for your license re-registration next year, it makes your life a lot easier.
That sounds awesome. So there's lots of support available, and it sounds like you can always go back to things. So that's great that you don't, I think back in the day when I was a grad, everything was all on, paperwork. And so that's great. You've got all that support. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Jessie?
Yeah, I think it's just, I've been sort of just like, you have a go at your clinical reasoning, you research, you think about what you're going to do, and then I give my supervisor a call if I'm unsure and just bounce ideas off them. So there's always someone to double check. And there's been a lot of professional development outside of the new grad program as well. So I've joined an OT journal club, a physio journal club, and within my own team, we meet every fortnight and discuss like articles and clinical questions that we've got as well. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of learning and it's great. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for that. I just thought I'd jump in now as we were kind of already on the track of, we've got some more questions as well. From Malika. So Malika says, if you work in residential care, do you work on site at one particular residential site, or do you travel from an off-site office to the residential sites where required?
So that actually depends. that depends. So I used to work in 4 different sites. But because of COVID, I'm just working out in 1 now. And because our company has only just started working with this site, I think end of last year. And so we're picking up a lot more work on this particular site. So now I think even when the COVID passes, I'll still be working in this site instead of going to different sites. So it really depends where you're located at.
Yeah. I think COVID's kind of changed things a little bit. Before, when I started, I was sort of working between 2 main sites and sometimes 3. But yeah, just ensuring that our clients, we reduce the risk of COVID and things like that. We now work 1 site. And yeah, things will probably change at some point in the future. But I kind of like going to different sites because you get exposure to different clinicians, different clinical cases, and different clients. So for my learning, I kind of like going around to different sites.
Well, hopefully things will pick up soon. It sounds like we're kind of on the straight and, well, as much as we can be on the straight and narrow with COVID. So hopefully that will change in the future and you'll get to go to more sites next year.
Yeah.
Just add into that as well, if that's okay.
Thanks, Greg.
From
Yeah, sure.
a sort of a leadership and a management perspective, again, we try and tailor things towards the individual therapist as well. So if their preference is to be located at one particular site, so that they can build more rapport with the residents or really get engaged in that site, then we'll try and sort of facilitate that. If the preference is to work across a couple of different sites, as Jesse says, to experience how different sites work and maybe sort of get a broader depth of experience, then that opportunity is there as well. So it's really about the graduate and their team leader having the discussions and then sort of working out how best things work.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Graham. Just seeing if any other questions have come through. No, I don't think so. James, do you want to go back to the slides?
Certainly can.
Thank you. This will be the bit about the recruitment process, so you guys on the line can learn what you need to do to stand out and get your applications in. So feel free to jump in with any questions as well on the chat as well if any more come through.
Would you like me just to start? Oh, here we go. Cool.
Yeah, sorry, we're having a few technical.
No worries. It's all good. So just a really quick kind of high level whip around in terms of our recruitment process. So as you can see there, we do keep it pretty simple. So I've worked across a number of different organizations and different industries in terms of graduate recruitment, and it can be very kind of convoluted, time consuming, confusing, stressful, all of the above. But as I said, we keep it relatively simple. So step 1, you'll find that all of our positions are pretty much advertised through all your standard channels. So through the Grad Connection website, Seek, you might see some of our positions advertised through the university career hubs. And as I think John mentioned earlier, we get a lot of employer referrals. So people that are already working for us generally refer candidates through as well, including graduates. So step 1 is to essentially just submit your application online with a current resume. So really straightforward. As part of our next step, our recruitment team will reach out to you pretty quickly to basically just have a chat to you. And I guess our approach is to basically prepare you for next steps in the process. So it's not necessarily to trip you up or to test what you know about the organisation. It's to have a discussion with you, relatively informal, to find out more about you, a little bit about your studies, any relevant work history. And as we said, the flip side of that is to answer any questions you might have as well. So you might want to know very similar questions to what we've covered today, what the work's like, what the environment's like, what our induction's like, what our graduate program's like. We're happy to cover all of that stuff in advance and also prepare you as much as possible for the interview. So our interview process is relatively straightforward. At the moment, just because of our COVID situation, the majority of our interviews are online. However, where possible in certain states, we are still pressing ahead with interviews in person, but it's basically an opportunity for you to meet your future manager and possibly one of the team. Our managers shape the interview panels slightly differently. But in terms of actual interview, it's pretty much just the one interview. There's no need to come in for a group interview, second, third interview. There's no kind of huge process there. It's pretty much come in, go through some standard questions, find out a little bit more about yourself. You can ask questions as well of the panel, how they sort of finding work themselves, how will they kind of describe the work environment, you know, what are the good bits, what are the sort of challenging bits, how are you going to be supported. There's an opportunity for you to ask as many questions as possible. And then from there, it's pretty straightforward. Obviously, there's a few little pre-employment checks we will need to do. And then subject to those, it's essentially an offer of employment and working out a suitable start date for you. So everyone's different in terms of their general availability and also their commitments when it comes to final year in terms of study and exams and juggling life in general. So we're pretty flexible around start dates. So this year, for example, we'll have candidates starting at the back end of this year, and we'll also have graduates starting with us at the start of 2021, which sounds so far away, but it's not really.
Not at all.
So it's a relatively, as I said, it's a relatively simple, straightforward process. The approach for us is to set you up for success and give you as much information as we can going into that process. And where possible, we support you every step of the way.
Great. Sounds like such a straightforward process, but I do have a few questions as well, like just to help students prepare. So what could students or, you know, or current candidates do to help them actually prepare for their application? Is there anything that they can do to stand out?
I think, and this might sound kind of quite low level, but I think just the basics in terms of if you're submitting your resume, sometimes we find that candidates' details aren't quite current. And what I mean by that is upfront email addresses and phone numbers can sometimes be a little bit tricky and a little bit out of date. But I think just putting the effort into those really kind of crucial things, it sounds quite simple, just your resume and your details, but some people do overlook that. And I think in terms of just preparing you for your application and what you're kind of providing up front, it's quite easy, I think, you know, to kind of sit there when you're a graduate. I know from experience myself, and you kind of sit there thinking, well, I haven't really done much. But if you try and list as much as possible on that resume, it could be team sports, it could be hobbies, it could be highlighting kind of group activities you've done at university, sort of all of the above, to try and bring out, you know, as much of those transferable skills and highlight that experience, even if it is non-work related, as possible. And I think probably kind of touched on this a little bit in terms of, you know, the process. We're essentially looking for people to be themselves. So I know it can be stressful coming into, you know, an application process or an interview process, but try and put on your best self.
Great. And you mentioned that some interviews in certain states, obviously because of COVID, will be conducted online. How can students prepare online for an interview? Does it kind of differ from a face-to-face? You know, is there any kind of risk of them being assessed differently because it's online?
No, I think so. Where possible, we customize it to the candidate and to your experience. So we can facilitate whether it's through Zoom or Teams. You're not at a disadvantage by having a video interview. And at the moment, we're all kind of restricted with what's happening at the moment with COVID-19. So we do a mix at the moment. Ideally, we'd love to meet people in person, as I'm sure people would love to come in person. And I know sometimes it can be just as intimidating or just as hard to prepare for a video interview, but I think you can sense by our approach today, and I guess just generally speaking, our culture, it's a fairly relaxed kind of approach. But at the end of the day, as I said, we're really making sure that we're setting people up for success. And if we can still, you know, meet candidates over video interview or utilize technology where possible, I think that also speaks to, you know, the agility and the flexibility of the organization in having those tools at the ready.
Awesome. And what would you say are some of the skills and attributes you're looking for in suitable candidates?
Yeah, I think not to maybe go too far into detail with, say, an interview, but, you know, obviously we're looking for candidates' motivation. Obviously, you've got a real passion for what you do to commit in terms of the study that you do away from the work environment. But, you know, in terms of maybe number one for me, it's kind of that motivation piece. So, you know, why do you want to join the team? You know, what is your motivation? Where is that kind of stemming from? And at the same time, we're, I guess, ultimately looking for candidates that are a good fit for the organisation, not just in terms of the work, but also our culture and our values. I think there's a real alignment piece there. But we'll obviously go through relevant topics in terms of just what our work environment looks like. So how you would work in a team, how you would communicate with people, how you handle and respond to stressful situations. And I guess ultimately, you're working with people. So at the end of the day, we probably can't, underline that enough.
Yeah.
We want to make sure, as I said, that we're setting people up for success and it's a good fit for everybody.
Great. Thank you.
Might just add into that one as well, if that's okay, Dom. Just around communication and relationships are probably from my point of view, the two biggest things that we look for with new grads are ability to be a good communicator and be able to sort of build strong relationships. So if that comes out as part of the CV, as part of an interview, then that will sort of stand them in good stead. A lot of the clients that we deal with have potentially some communication challenges. They might have dementia or some other morbidities that impact them, and that sort of communication and then the ability to connect with an elderly person is really, really important.
Right. And I think, as you said, that can kind of come out from their resume. So any past experience that you may have had, even if it's working in retail or, being a part of a club and society at uni, make sure you kind of bring that out on your resume. Great. Thank you for that. I did have some other questions, but I think if you wanted to wrap up this bit here, and then I think there's some questions that have come through on the chat.
Yeah, no worries. I think we're good with that. And I think our next slide might be questions potentially. So I've personally just responded to Christy. I've seen that one pop in on a graduate dietitian query. So happy, Christy, if you wanted to reach out to me, my details are there in front of you. And maybe Dom, it might be a good idea. I'm not too sure if anyone else has got any questions before we wrap up, just with the time.
No, I don't think there's any other questions that have come through. I did have one question that I can ask to Graham and John. It was just about what kind of career development opportunities are available beyond the 12-month graduate program. I know obviously once they finish, they're part of Plena, but what can happen next?
Yeah, quite a lot, really. It's one of the big reasons people come to work with something like Plena Healthcare and also aging communities, just the opportunities. I suppose a typical pathway for a new grad would be finishing that new graduate year and then stepping into perhaps a site lead position, which is where Jessie mentioned she's kind of working at the moment. So that's where you have a slight additional responsibilities. From there too, there's a bit of an opportunity to pivot. So you can be a Plena buddy, so then you can support a new grad is a really good stepping stone also. So you're actually providing the support that you received in your first year. But then there's a bit of a fork then that we've got coordinator roles. So we've got things like learning and development coordinators who more coordinate learning and development. We've got manual handling coordinators too that focus more on that side of things. And then we've also got so they're kind of a step into more of a coordinator role, whereas we've also got team leaders, and then we have service managers who are who manage a team of team leaders, and then you've obviously got managers there too. So, I mean, for Graham and myself, we both started. Graham was a bit before me; he actually did my interview, but yeah, we both started as as clinicians, and then became state managers. So I was a New South Wales state manager, while Graham was the Victorian state manager, and then we've both kind of then I've only been with the business 5 years, which is a bit of time, but and now in national roles where I work across different modalities, and Graham obviously heads up the 800 odd physios and OTs. So there's a lot of career opportunities, whether it's like a leadership role you're after or more of a coordinator role, lots of options.
Amazing. So that's great to hear that there's a great career path for people.
And
Great.
Probably
Did you want to add? Go for it,
add
Graham.
into that as well is that we're also just starting our pediatric services as well. So there are other clinical avenues as well. So if the physios and OTs have got a particular passion for, say, whether it's community or RAC services, it might be dementia specific stuff, then there's opportunities to lead the journal clubs that Jessie was mentioned, or some of those more sort of clinical platforms. And with the NDIS sort of framework in the community setting, that's sort of given us the opportunity to link into the pediatric services, and that's something that we're starting to develop as well. So as John said, part of being part of a bigger company and a growing company, all those opportunities will arise as things move forward.
Great, thank you for that. I think I'm just going to ask one final question and I'll hand back over to James. I might direct this to you, Jordan, just from the recruitment piece, but if there's anyone else that wants to answer as well, any tips for students that may be unsuccessful in securing an opportunity? What kind of tips would you give to them for the future?
Yeah, I can go with that one. And Jesse and Henry, I'm not sure if you want to kind of speak from experience, but look, I think you can kind of, it's probably a couple of ways to look at it. I think you can kind of take away a positive from almost, every interview should you be unsuccessful. I mean, I know as a team, we're really proactive around making sure that we provide feedback post-interview. So you won't necessarily just get, an email saying thanks, but no thanks, or, you won't kind of be left for weeks on end. We're pretty speedy in terms of turning that process around. And the feedback that we get, we make sure that it's from those that are interviewing you. So they'll provide us with detailed feedback following your interview. And obviously we try and make that as constructive as possible. So if there's some areas that have been highlighted that you could have improved in, or, areas that we can help highlight to help with your next interview, as I said, the approach is to set everybody up for success, whether that's, as a graduate with Plena Healthcare, or whether that's for your next interview, where possible, always try and make sure that you can take something away from the process. So that's my take, I guess, from a recruiter's point of view. Jesse, Henry might have a different point of view, but yeah, where possible, always try and provide feedback. Feedback's the food of champions, as they say.
Amazing. Jesse, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, it's just having that professionalism to chase up about sort of what you could improve on, and that will shape your next interview. And in the meantime, like, if that's a sector that you really want to be part of, maybe in your sideline, if you can volunteer or work part-time in a caring role, that's often really good experience as well. So that might be support worker out in the community, it might be with NDIS, might be, anything. So I think all of that transferable skills really shows. Yeah.
Great. Well, you go for it, James.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Dom. Thank you to our wonderful panel today, Jesse, Henry, Graham, John, and of course, Jordan. Very great to have you all with us this afternoon. I do apologize sincerely for any technical challenges we had with the video. Just to leave by saying that all of I believe we have 16 opportunities, the length and breadth of Australia at the moment, live on the Grad Connection site for Plena Healthcare. You can apply for those through the links that you'll receive after this email if you're not already a registered user. Just for those of you that are new to Grad Connection, we are Australia's largest jobs board for early talent. Once you're registered and have set up a profile with us, any jobs that are relevant to you, you'll be told about as soon as they're posted, and then again 48 hours before they close, so you never miss an opportunity. I will leave it there for today. Thank you so much. And just to lead us out, I'm hoping that I will play the video again for those of you that missed it at the beginning. So fingers crossed, and once the video is finished, we'll all disappear. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Dom.
Thanks so much.
Every day, our group of brands have been working towards the same goal, providing quality care to our clients and their families. We are united by this purpose, we are connected by this purpose, and we now pursue this purpose as one brand, Plena Healthcare.
Today is a really exciting day for us at Zenithas Mobile Health. It's when all our brands come together as one in an integrated offer called Plena Healthcare. The collection of brands that make up Plena Healthcare come from brands which have a really long history in allied health services and mobile health services throughout all of Australia. These brands were the largest of their modalities and all come with clinical expertise and dedication. Plena Healthcare is holistic and it's very representative of an integrated offering of bringing all modalities together on one platform to meet more of our customer needs, as we help people live happier, healthier and more independent lives. Every day we have thousands of allied health professionals working throughout Australia. We are investing in our staff and making sure we're using our size and scale to give the best experience, the best leadership structures, and also the best learning and development capabilities for our people. Plena Healthcare, in its integrated approach across all modalities, is focused on customer outcomes for residential, disability and community clients.
Our new brand reflects who we are as a business. It reflects the holistic nature of our people and our capabilities. It represents our integrated offering across physiotherapy, occupational therapy, podiatry, speech pathology, dietetics and nursing consultancy, all of which are offered within residential aged care facilities, disability and community settings. We look forward to continuing to grow our relationships with our team, with our clients, and with the people who are at the centre of everything we do.
Thanks so much for coming, everyone. We'll see you again soon.